Hey everyone, welcome back to the All Music Matters That podcast. I'm your host, Brian. And join me today, I welcome two very special guests. We got JRail, and then we got Frank from the band Pray for Villains. How y'all doing today, brothers?
Real good, man. How are you?
Not too bad. How you doing there, Frank?
Pretty good.
I was going to say, Jay's telling me you got to deal with a whole lot over there, so. Something like that. Okay. Sorry if I was going to go into how you guys been recently? What's new? Did you guys have a show last night?
Yeah, we did. We did our last gig with our current drummer. Been with us for, I have to do math, almost 20 years. We'll go with that. We've been together since 2006, so.
Yeah, like 18 years, something like that.
Something like that. Got a good job. Is he moving away? I guess, where are you guys hailing from, actually?
South Dakota. Sioux Falls.
Sioux Falls.
The biggest little city in the whole friggin' area.
Was the other side of the Mississippi that you guys ever seen? So
yeah,
something along the line. That's pretty good. So I guess what's new recently? I guess you guys got any new material coming out? I guess what's going on music wise? We
actually just finished a recording a 5-track EP at All Poetic Studio in Scotland, South Dakota. Going to be called Volume 1 Bloodlines. Sounds
killer. Actually, the minute you say Bloodline, I immediately thought of the song Slayer from that song Bloodlines as well. So
yep.
That's pretty good. Right. But you get to elaborate on your music here in just a little bit, Jay. But Frank, Jay, I want to welcome you guys to my podcast right here. And the way this is going to work is I'm going to ask you both some questions, and then we'll see where this goes, because I think it's going to make some interesting stories right here. And I think Jay had an interesting one about Silverstein, so I got to talk about that in just a little bit. So, but first off, let's start with the beginning here. So I guess first off, who's the oldest of the group?
Me. I'm oldest. Yep.
All right. So Jay, you can go first here. So I guess who are you? And I guess how'd you become a musician? And then if you want to list what you do in the group as well, go ahead.
I am not a musician by any stretch of the imagination. I'm an overgrown cheerleader. I'm the vocalist. I do the majority of the booking, the merch, the face-to-face, the all that kind of behind-the-scenes stuff. I write some of the lyrics, but we're kind of the way we kind of do stuff is if someone's got an idea, throw it out there, and we're very democratic in that way, just I don't like that, let's try this instead. And then that way it works out being like a big thing that represents all of us, not just one person's vision.
I guess did you start doing chorus back in school?
Yes, I did. So I did chorus in high school. Holy crap, that's so long ago. I'm 40, so 20 years ago too, pretty much. The old, I think we've had 10 years now. Or no, we've only done. I can't do math today. My brain is still fried from last night.
Hey, that was a good show too. Yeah.
And we got home and I did. Me and my wife hung out with the babysitter talking till about 3:00 in the morning. The kids woke up at like 6. So yeah,
sort of low nap too. So yeah,
did the singing thing in high school. And we did. I did karaoke a lot more in my 20s than I have time for now, which is actually how Frank picked me up, was hanging out. We've been friends forever, but hanging out. He's like, hey, I got a thing I want you to do. So yeah, that's me. I'm an overgrown cheerleader. I go out and I mingle with the crowd, walk around wireless. I spent probably half a song last night out in the crowd, just singing to the band from out, hanging out with everybody in front of the stage.
I think I saw one of your Facebook posts. Do you have like a little chain you got to put around your neck right there?
It weighs like 30 pounds. I was going to wear it today, but it's not. I'm not wearing it again after last night. Yeah, it's heavy.
It's good neck exercise too, but otherwise I'd say you're a good submissive bitch, to be honest. So
yeah.
But it's all good though. And I guess Frank, what's your story? Then we can talk about the band a little bit.
Well, I started playing music real young. I think first inklings of music was 8 or 9 years old. My grandpa had some guitars, and he'd let me just kind of noodle at his house when I visited him. And then later on, I joined band in like middle school and in like high school. And my my band teacher thought I was terrible. I was so bad he put me on the bass drum to hit like one note, every like 4 counts. It was real bad. It was pretty terrible. But I picked up guitar in high school, bought an acoustic, started learning, and then, it just spirals. You start learning simple stuff, and next thing you know, you find Metallica, you find Megadeth, you find In Flames, Opeth, and just right down the rabbit hole, you know what I mean?
Before you know it, he's starting to shred like Eddie Van Halen. Before you know it, so.
Oh yeah. I've definitely done my homework. My favorite guitar player is Joe Satriani. When I saw him play, I was like, okay, that's what I want to sound like. I want to sound like that guy. I want to get as good as he does. And then later on, I just stopped trying to learn other people's stuff and just try to like come up with something that I haven't heard before.
Are you the lead guitarist, or do you have another guitarist?
We have 2 guitar players. Ryan Phillips is the other guitar player. Me and him go way back. I mean, we met when we were 15 years old. He played acoustic, I played electric, and then we kind of like were such good friends. We just started playing together, and he bought an electric, and we just started jamming. That's basically the inception of this band, was us 2 guys just meeting each other when we were real young.
I guess, what was the story? How'd you meet JRail here?
We used to go to his house. I don't know how much of this we can really share.
I can say it all. Way past the statute of limitations, my friend.
I mean, we'll keep the kids away.
Hold on, buddy. Come back, okay? No.
No.
Wait, you taking on me. You go out there, buddy. I love you too, buddy. Close the door, please, sweetie. Yeah, well, we'll do that in a little bit, buddy. Anyway, so I met JRail because we were this is so ridiculous. We used to party like real hard in our like pre-drinking age, I guess. Jay was like the legal one. So we'd go over to his apartment and have big shindigs, and that's how I met this guy. Yeah,
you can have 90 people in a 2-bedroom apartment.
Yeah, get a lot done in a 2-bedroom apartment, right?
Yeah.
But he always said that he sang and like loved metal and that kind of stuff, and all of his friends were into metal, like Soilwork and Opeth, and they were all into that kind of stuff. So it wasn't a big stretch for me to one day, go check him out while he's singing karaoke, and then heard him do Bodies and like Fuel or The Image of My Hand, Fuel, and he just nailing it note for note, and I was like, all right, this guy's got stage presence because he just commands a crowd when he's on stage. And same thing when he's in like karaoke, he just commands everybody. He's built for the stage. He says he's not a musician, but he's a performer, like one-on-one. Yeah, he's
into charisma.
Yeah. I was like, that guy. Let's see if we can get that guy to work with us, And then we just kind of, over the years have developed into a real good partnership with the whole team here.
I'd say, how else can ladies dig JRail's glorious charm too? That was probably another reason they want him to be the front man.
For sure. If he was like an RPG character, charisma's like 100. That's like his biggest deal.
All right, that sounds good. So let's get into the band a little bit too. So I guess, Frank, were you the one that originally put it together, and you just brought JRail along for the ride?
Yeah, I mean, I always kind of wanted to start a band, like when I was younger, but I was pretty much just a, bedroom guitar player. And then I met Ryan Phillips, we call him Red. So if we ever use nicknames, they all kind of have, like JRail's a nickname. I think I started calling you JRail pretty early. Yeah, and then his cousin was LJ, our previous drummer. So that's how it all, we just kind of met each other over time and built that band piece by piece.
That's pretty cool. And I guess you guys have been rolling now 18 years, really. So I guess, how's that ride been? It's been kind of bumpy at times.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where like you come from, a town in South Dakota, and if you know anything about South Dakota, if you look different, listen to different music, play different music, you got you're not a country band? I don't think I'm going to listen to you. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We don't.
It's not popular.
Over time, yeah, exactly right. Over time, it's changed. So like when we first started, there was a few metal bands in the area, and we do shows with them constantly, but there was only a small number. And as the scene kind of grown here, like last night's show, there were 2 metal bands on the roster. There were several hip hop artists, a couple rock band, and a pop punk band. I mean, we do it. It used to be super clicky where you wouldn't get that, and as time's gone on, and I think this is a statement on just the way that the world works anymore, is people are more accepting of other things, and hanging out with people that they in years past they probably that same group might not have hung out with. And we got loads of compliments last night from one of the dudes. Kept talking to me. He was wearing a cowboy hat and a tank top and cowboy boots, and he could not stop talking to me about how versatile that we are and how he does not listen to that kind of music, but between the guitars and the drums and the vocal versatility, he's like, I really like that. If I think he bought tickets to our EP release, honestly. So I'd have to double check with the merch people running the merch table last night, my wife and one of our other merch girls, but I'm pretty sure he bought tickets to our EP release just because he saw us last night.
Jay was like, score.
Yeah, so. Yes. Yeah, that's cool. There was a lady there from Toronto, Canada. I have no idea what she was doing in South Dakota. I have no idea, but she came up and you talked about the same kind of things that she's like, I really like, I like metal, but you guys do something that I've never heard before. It's different. Every song has a different feel to it. It's not all, we can't pigeonhole ourselves into one genre. It's too difficult for us. We just push out whatever feels good.
I'll say it's that charm. That charm started to work there, Jay. Yeah. So that's a big plus. Like I said, who came up with the name? Was it had to be something for Disney villains that came out in the 90s?
So we originally were called Flux, as is here on my arm, with 2 X's. We went on a few-year hiatus in like 12 or 13. And when we came back in, like, I think right before COVID in like 19, we realized that our name was pretty much taken by everything. There was EDM artists and I think a couple of cover bands and rock bands and a collectible card game. And so if using our original name, we couldn't do that. So we had to come up with something new. And we're all big fans of like groove metal and Devil Driver in particular. And they have an album and song off called Pray for Villains, and we just thought, hey, that'll work, we'll roll with that. And it actually kind of I end all of our shows with our tagline that is we have one thing in common. Every person everywhere has one thing in common. We are all the villain in someone's story. Everybody has a story about you that is, you're the bad guy, because they can't possibly be the bad guy in their own story. They all want to be the good guy. So you're going to be painted, no matter who you are, the nicest person on the planet is going to be the villain in someone's story.
Some sort of capacity, yeah. Especially when you start getting into those conspiracy political dramas, if that's what you want to call it.
Absolutely.
And I guess, do you guys always love a good villain? I guess, do you kind of attribute some of it? I know it's a song from Devil Driver, but I guess, is there like a favorite villain you guys have from any movies or shows you watched in the past?
Go ahead, Frank. What is it?
Yo, you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
It's got to be the Joker. He's got to be like.
I know it's going to be the Joker.
He's got to be the perfect antithesis, He's probably my favorite villain, yeah.
For me, I really go with Sabretooth, just as a antithesis of Wolverine, because Wolverine's my guy. But yeah, they're the same kind of thing, where they're not so much like the Joker and Batman, where they're so opposite that they clash, but they're this, both sides of the same coin. Wolverine and Sabretooth, they're like the same guy. That's what they just butt heads because they're the same guy.
It's a little brotherly love. I'm assuming. That's what I want to say, but I'm not too sure. Is it? Because I find in the movies they were like brothers or something. They just have that power.
It's a convoluted thing for them. It depends on where you go from. If you go with the comic book origin, they allude to that they could be brothers, but it's never explicitly stated. So it's kind of one of the. I think they very possibly could be, but again,
Yeah, comic books are just like that. It's like there's so many different.
It's done that way on purpose, so that we can have these conversations forever.
Yeah, that's for sure. Though Hugh Jackman and Ray Donovan are pretty damn good characters too.
Yeah.
So
I'm super excited to see Wolverine or Hugh Jackman as Wolverine again in the new Deadpool movie. I'm excited.
That's ought to be interesting. I'll have to check it out. I haven't seen Deadpool, but I guess what's your opinion of like the first couple Deadpools that they did make?
They were wonderful. Ryan Reynolds is he's an embodiment.
I guess the other thing too, that kind of gave it away that he would pick Jokers because he got a big Batman symbol behind Frank right there.
Oh yeah,
yeah, right over there. Yeah.
Huge Batman nerd for sure.
I was gonna say, is that the Michael Keaton sort of Batman logo?
Yeah, that's Keaton. Keaton's my Batman. I don't mind Bale, but Keaton's my Batman through and through.
A little bit of cough right there, but I was trying to hold it into. Actually, yeah, I did like Christian Bale's. I guess what's your opinion of Affleck as it was a Ben Affleck. Yeah, he did Ben Affleck for a little while.
Yeah, he was in the Justice League movies and the Batman vs Superman, but Affleck looks the most like Batman because he's a big dude. He's 6'4", 250. He's a big dude. So compared to the other two guys, he looks like Batman, but I don't know if it was the writing or whatever. And I usually loved Zack Snyder, but it just wasn't my favorite Batman. I love Keaton because he's a little crazy. And that's my favorite part.
Yeah, Jack Nicholson did make a good Joker too. So that's pretty cool. So I guess jumping into influences. So Frank, I know you mentioned about Joe Satriani. Was there anybody else who influenced your guitar style?
Oh, I'm a real big music nerd. So there's a lot of guys that I love, and some guys are not metal at all. Like modern guys like Joe Bonamassa. I love John Mayer. For metal though, it's definitely like it's Opeth. It's At the Gates. We love Soilwork. We love In Flames. We love a lot of bands that we don't really sound like, but I guess if you really listen, you might hear little quirks of us adding things into it. Because unlike a lot of those bands, we tune in standard, so we don't really drop tune. We're not a very low tune band, even though it might sound that way at times. But yeah, it's mostly metal though.
I'll tell you why. But I guess are you a little Swedish as well? Because they mentioned a whole lot of Swedish groups.
It's hard not to love Swedish death metal. It just really is. Like even bands that kind of emulate it. Like my favorite band of all time is probably the Black Dahlia Murder, and that's just like Swedish death metal worship at its core, even though it's an American band.
I thought they were American, but all right, that's pretty cool. And rest in peace to Trevor Strand. We lost that guy too soon right there. So it's a good choice. I do remember listening to Nocturnal a good bit from Black Dahlia Murder. So I'd say that one was my favorite. All right. And Jay, who'd you say is your big influence in terms of singing?
Oh boy. So I talked a little bit about versatility as far as what I like to do, and that got talked about a lot with me last night. There was I think a group of 3 people, 2 girls and a guy, and the couple that was dating is like, oh yeah, we like metal, and the one girl's like, I don't, and she didn't come up front until one of our songs where I actually sing. So we talked about Soilwork, Bjorn Strid from Soilwork, and about 76 other bands, because he likes to just, I think at one point he was in 5 bands in 4 countries in the early 2000s. And a monster. So Bjorn Strid, Howard Jones, of now Light the Torch, formerly Killswitch. Light the Torch being a Soilwork song. So I like guys that sing, guys that scream. Screamers. The guy I get told I sound the most like, and this is not on purpose, is Randy Blythe from Lamb of God. I think that has a lot to do with enunciation, because he's one of the guys that is you can pick with a quick listen of a few things. You can pick his words out very easily, and it has to do with the way he enunciates words. Yeah, I think those three guys. Matt Heafy's another big one for me. He's for him as a guitar player, as a singer, as a screamer, as a personality. He's awesome. Like if I see a track with any of those four guys on it, I know the track's going to be good.
I was like, he went on to the other side of heaven whenever he sees like all four of them together. So.
Yeah.
Actually, when you're saying that versatility too, I was thinking you'd do something like Corey Taylor, because I'm not sure if you're much of a jumper on stage.
Yeah, Corey Taylor is one of the guys that I think, without Slipknot, most of us current metalheads probably wouldn't have found metal without Slipknot. I say that all the time. Like the Joey's birthday was just a couple of days ago, and just they were such an influence for so many of us. In fact, the guy that got me into metal, his memorial tattoo here, his Soilwork tattoo on my neck, is their soil worker. I remember the first conversation. He said, "Oh, you like Slipknot? You like Mudvayne? Here, you might like this." It gives me a Skinless CD. I'm like, that's a little bit extreme for what I'm listening to right now. He's like, "Okay, that might be too much. Here, how about Soilwork? How about In Flames?" I'm like, "Okay, now this I can dig with." You know, the Fear Factory, that you just kept handing me stuff like that, and yeah, it was definitely eye opening. In fact, he gave me my first Soilwork CD, my first In Flames CD, my first Trivium CD, and I believe even my first Lamb of God CD. And it, like, maybe that's why those are my guys. I don't know.
That would explain a lot. I was surprised you didn't mention about the guy from Silverstein, since we were talking about it during our little chats back and forth.
Silverstein I didn't get into until I met my wife in, we started dating. We never started dating. We just didn't stop hanging out in 2009. And our first date was at a Silverstein concert. And since we're talking about it, this is the story that I told you already. So we're at this concert, and I'm not a little guy by any means. When you go to a pop punk post hardcore type show, most of their fans are, at that time, they were skinny teenage kids, little guys.
Midgets, and they we can say that.
Wanted to mosh, and they wanted to mosh, and they wanted to mosh, and they kept targeting me. It's like, this guy I want to play with. And we were downstairs at this old venue that we used to have here in town that is now defunct from years of disrepair, Nutty's North. And in their basement, at tight club, you could maybe fit 200 people in there. So like, you were super close to these guys. And it was 2000, had to be 2009. I actually still have the flyer in my bedroom. Anyway, it was the year that Taylor Swift won an award that Kanye West thought should have went to, I believe, Beyonce. And so they were talking crap on Kanye, as you should, because he's blatantly insane. He's like, anybody got a problem with that? And I don't know anybody at this show except for my now wife and some of the people from that she brought. And some kid in front of me says, "This guy, he's a rapper." So Shane he says, "You're a rapper? Come up here," and pulled me up on the stage. And he's like, I said, "I don't know who that guy is, but he lied to you. I'm not a rapper. I'm a vocalist in a local metal band." And he's like, "Oh, you scream?" I said, "I scream a little bit." And he's like, "Once you give me a scream, I'll give you half of one." And one of my favorite things to do is just hold a scream for as long as I can. One of our songs, I start that way. The guys usually, we put it in a place where they have to tune before we play that song. And I will start the scream and they're like, wait, we're not ready. And I will hold it for as long as I can. And I can usually make it pretty close to when they're done tuning and we can actually start the song. So like, I let this scream out like 20, 30 seconds later. And he's like, that was half. I'm like, yeah, this was, so long ago. Like back then I feel like I could hold them for forever. And he's like, oh my God, that's awesome. What's the name of your band? And he spent the whole rest of the night plugging our band, and just super cool guy. And he does the same kind of thing that you're doing now. He's got his, Shane does a lead singer syndrome where he interviews other vocalists from every kind of band that you could think of.
He keeps himself busy. Yeah. Oh, that sounds good too.
He really does.
Actually, I do remember getting the album from Discover the Waterfront. That's when I was so obsessed with your sword versus my dagger.
Yep. I think that album, was that the one that came out in Discovering the Waterfront? I think was the one. I don't know. I don't remember.
05, I think. I think it was 05 because I think When Broken is Easily Fixed was 03.
Yep. That was the one that my wife found him on, and she'd been obsessed with him ever since. They're consequently, because my wife's favorite band, they're in my second slot behind In Flames, Lamb of God, and Trivium, who hold their first place three-way tie because they always play together. And I think I've seen them all 8 times, and I've seen Silverstein twice. Silverstein has the distinction of being the only band I've seen 2 nights in a row.
Well, that's so sweet. All right, that's an interesting story. So, and I do golf tabs. Frank, join me in Paul. Frank, join me in golf.
The funniest part about that is we saw them the next year in Omaha, and he remembered me when we went up and talked to him at the merch table after their set. He's like, hey, you're the guy that I pulled up on stage last year. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I made a little bit of an impression. That's kind of cool.
I mean, he did something right. Normally when you think of like holding a screen for like 10 seconds, I think like, oh, he must be getting blue in the face at this point too. So.
Yeah, what color was your hair, Jay?
2009, I think it was. I don't know, man. I changed it so much back then. I don't
usually a crazy color hair, so it sticks out.
It was never the same for any 2 shows.
You got probably a rainbow style kind of going on next before you know it.
Different colors, different color schemes. I can remember one time I had a pink ribbon on my head for breast cancer awareness, and a guy come up to me and he's like, "Why you got pink hair? What's wrong with you? You like men or what?" I said, "Actually, I like breasts." And I turned it around. There's a ribbon on my head. What's your problem? And he's like, "Oh, that's a ribbon. That's really cool." Yeah, now you're gonna eat your words, dude. Just stop it.
That's when you say dumbass. So that's what you had to say next. I have to say, what's up with people, or particularly men, being upset with the color pink for some reason?
I got pink shoes. I don't have any idea.
I mean, they were actually ripping on Godzilla for having like pink scales and dorsal effects.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it.
Apparently he's woke now, so yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, Godzilla's woke. By woke, we mean he woke up or he or she, depending on which Godzilla we're talking about, woke up on the bottom of the ocean. That's about as woke as that Godzilla gets.
I mean, pretty much. I mean, hey, he got an Oscar out of it too with the recent one they did out of Japan. So yeah. He did something right. So I don't know. He finally just woke up. There we go.
Yeah.
Just saying that. All right. Enough about that. And I guess we'll go ahead and talk about the hard topic of COVID. So Jay, you did talk for a good bit there. So I guess Frank, how bad did COVID impact you, your family, and music-wise?
I think I got rewarded because I'm kind of a homebody. So I don't think it really had too much of an impact. I didn't lose anybody. We didn't have anything like that, thank God. But yeah, it was just crazy having like a pandemic kind of hit you and all that stuff kind of work out how it did, and then to figure out later, kind of how it's all gone down, and everybody's just kind of almost like forgetting about it, which is kind of odd. That's just a trippy thing. But as far as the music goes, I mean, to be honest with you, it really didn't have much of an impact on us because we play shows, but it's only a couple times a year, and generally, it just gives me more time to write, which is my favorite part of the whole thing.
And take care of 4 kids as well too, because I know that's what Jay was talking about earlier. So
Yeah, I'm busy perpetually.
In perpetuity. There we go. So, I guess, Jay, same question. I guess, how about it impact you, family, and music-wise?
So for us, my wife and I had both of our kids were 2017, 2018, so they were really little. And so the biggest thing that we noticed from COVID is we couldn't take them anywhere. So for after everything started opening back up, they didn't know how to behave in a public setting. Because you couldn't take them anywhere. So all that their experience was at home, where you can just run around and be a maniac. And people frown on that when you do that in a restaurant. You know, you take them out to a restaurant or whatever. You're like, look at these a-hole kids running around like maniacs, and you know they don't know any better. It's not their fault. So we talked a little bit earlier. We came back in 2019. We did one show in 2019, and then we had a bass player at the time who'd been with us for a long time, and he had received a heart transplant. He was born with an enlarged heart, so he had a heart transplant early on with us. So we were super aware of his situation. So we didn't book any shows for a long time. We were South Dakota. I don't know if you know this. Our governor decided we should stay open all the time. So there were still the opportunity to do some shows, but we didn't do anything because he couldn't leave his house. He was stuck at his house. He was one of the reasons that like super thankful for all the delivery services that started up. They had their groceries delivered. Him and his wife, they didn't leave for a year. They stayed in their house. But like Frank said, our write, it gave us the opportunity to write a whole lot of new material. And, you know, a lot of us didn't hang out for a while because you didn't know, you know what I mean? You're like, there are so many voices going on like, oh, it's real, it's fake, you know, it's just a flu, it's not a flu. To me, I know several people. One of them actually still comes to a lot of our shows that lost her mom, and I think one of my relatives, I believe it was another relative of mine, passed from COVID. And so to me, I don't know anybody that died from the flu, but I know at least two people that died from COVID. So that right there makes it a little different. You know, and they're like, oh, then the defense is, well, did they die from COVID or did they just have COVID and died? What's the difference? You get in a car accident. Did you die from the car accident or did you die from the excess blood loss? You're splitting hairs.
Yeah, that's for sure too. And sorry for any losses you kind of lost along the way there too. So blessings to you and your family as well.
Yeah, it's good. It's good now. At the time, it was. I think it was kind of scary because you know we didn't know. It was not a situation that any of us had ever experienced before on any type of scale.
That's for sure. I think me and my parents, when it initially started, we were kind of freaked out too. So I was like, is this like that zombie apocalypse sort of contagion is going to go around here too? And it's going to be like The Walking Dead before you know it.
We didn't know. We knew.
Actually, yeah, your governor is Kristi Noem. Is that how you pronounce her name?
Yeah, that's how you pronounce her name.
So, I guess what's your opinion of her first off?
I don't like to talk politics too much just because I tend to get labeled as the woke guy, even though I'm like, okay, to me, the definition of woke should be, hey, you're awake and aware. That's what it should be, but that's not the way that it's used. And so everybody has their different opinions. Like one side will call everybody snowflakes, and then suddenly that side that was getting called snowflakes is now referring to everybody else as snowflakes. I'm like, you guys are just fighting over dumb stuff. Just work together, get along, make decisions that benefit everybody, not just the people putting money in your pocket. Our governor, she is all about herself. That's about as far as I'd like to get into that. She likes herself a lot.
I would say Trinity of man, but unfortunately, I would say Trinity of woman in this case. It's me, myself and she or something like that. So
I do appreciate that when you talk so much about, we have the greatest stuff here in South Dakota, but then I'm going to go to Texas to get my teeth fixed. Are you
Seriously?
are you a liar? What's the deal? Anyway, yeah, no.
I mean, that's kind of fucked up when you think about it. So I can see why. So, but I guess to get off the politics side, I guess, how has Sioux Falls been? Did you guys get rocked pretty good with COVID? Because I know you said you guys were still open, but I guess how did it do during COVID? And then I guess is it kind of building up since then?
There were times like driving around Sioux Falls where like stores and stuff would be closed. Like it was weird to see our busiest streets were dead and you wouldn't be stuck in traffic during times where you normally would. But then you go in someplace and it still had people in it. So it was kind of ghost towny, but it wasn't anything like, I don't really know. It was weird. It definitely was weird.
Yeah, that's for sure. I guess, Frank, did you want to throw anything into it? Because you guys live pretty close to each other, right? I know you both stayed at Sioux Falls, but I don't know how extensive it is.
Yeah, we both live in the Sioux Falls area or metropolitan area. But yeah, I mean, it was just like Jay said, like some stores were closed, some stores that were more maybe worried were closed, and a bunch of other stores were wide open. As long as you were wearing a mask, you just get in, and they had masks at the door or whatever, all that stuff kind of just took over. It wasn't anything big to me. Just seemed like, everybody just being safe. And you should be. When you're sick, you should stay home. That's not just a COVID thing. That's just a normal thing. If you're sick, stay home. If you got to go out, put a mask on if you're coughing and sneezing. That's okay. That's all right. That's reasonable. It's not something that should have been practiced beforehand. You know what I mean? Probably should have been practiced a long time ago. That's what they do in Japan.
Yeah. You see Japanese tourists like in Vegas or something, even pre-COVID, they always had masks on because you don't know.
Yeah.
Actually, I thought that was more the Chinese, to be honest, too, because I guess they always come from polluted areas, too.
Maybe, yeah, that's true.
I think it's both. It's both cultures, because there is plenty of instances of you seeing them on those bullet trains when they're sick and they're wearing a mask. Pre-COVID.
That's for sure. Actually, I do remember when I was in Versailles, all the way over in France there was just a whole lot of Asians, to be honest, too. So it's almost like, man, that was crazy. And unfortunately, I think that's when those gears start turning, too, for the conspiracy theorists as well, too. Be like, they were spreading it around right then and there, too. So,
yeah, no. The whole
pretty
thing.
fucked up.
Something we could talk about real quick. One of our best friends is an Asian guy. And he, for him, being Asian and in the Midwest, where it's already, I don't want to say the Midwest is racist, because as a general rule, it's really not. There is the ones that are allowed, but they would, he would be targeted, and he wasn't comfortable going anywhere during COVID because he was Asian or is Asian. Not like he changed from being Asian, but I guess my other kid's home. I don't know if you guys did that, but there's thunder on my door right now. Yeah, he I'm doing a thing.
Hold it.
He's the loud one, as you can tell. Okay. That one's me. But yeah, okay. He didn't go anywhere because the stigma of he's an Asian guy, and the Asian guys or Asian people are the ones that made COVID and did all this stuff and blah blah blah. I don't want to confuse one of the stories he told me, so I'm going to just top level. But his niece was visiting his little town in Iowa, and she got targeted by a group. She was just riding a bicycle, and she just a kid, and a group of guys in a jacked up truck just harassed the crap out of her because she's Asian, and it was her fault that's messed up. They're people, they didn't do anything, but you did this.
No, in China, that's what they want to say.
Stupidity.
At war with stupidity at this point.
Yeah.
So I can see why.
Forever.
Apparently. But the bass player you mentioned earlier, the one with the large heart, is he doing okay nowadays?
Yeah. Yeah. I actually talk to him and his wife pretty regularly. He they started, him and his wife, they started having kids, and so he pulled back from the band scene for a while. He's still doing music and stuff, but not with us, because he doesn't have the time for multiple bands anymore. But yeah, his wife's in the same job field that I am, so
That's good to hear. Yeah, it's good to see you guys both did well through COVID there too. So good to have you along for the ride. So,
yeah.
Right. For the next question right here, I guess, Frank, what sort of gear do you use for the music production?
You mean like live?
I guess both for live, and I guess, do you guys do your own studio work, or do you go to an actual studio and you're in like the woods?
We go to Jeremy Schaefer at All Poetic. That's where we went for the EP that's going to be coming out here pretty soon. We give him the reins on that. I don't want a whole lot of control, because I trust the producer to do a good job, and he just wants it to sound great. And from what we've heard, it sounds pretty great.
Oh yeah, it does. We've had very minimal notes to him.
Yeah, it sounds pretty incredible. We're all very impressed and happy with the time we spent with Jeremy there. For live though, we are a outlier. We run floor units, Helix floor units. So it's Line 6 makes a little floor unit that's like a bunch of digital amps. You go through and program it, and you can get it so it gets all your changes in there. And if you want delay or reverb, you want to sound like you're playing at a big opera hall, you can just hit a pedal and it'll turn like 4 or 5 effects on at once, instead of keeping a gigantic pedal board and having to tap dance. Plus, it sounds the same everywhere I go, and I don't have to worry about carrying a big heavy amp or a cabinet or anything like that. So
we're old now. The less gear, the better.
Yeah, and nobody knows the difference until they're like, "Where's your gear?" It's right in front of here. It's this little board here.
Well, like it's almost like the old prank you do, like look up, then look down. So it's almost like that. They like stepped in like bubble gum instead. But actually, what brand are your guitars? And I guess what brand are your picks too?
I've played Dunlop Jazz 3s for 15 years or so. So they're just a little tiny, probably have one actually, little tiny red guys, little baby guys. They're used by a lot of my favorite guitar players, so I just kind of adopted them. The thicker the pick for me, it gives me more accuracy and allows me to play a little bit cleaner and a little bit more aggressively with accuracy. The guitars, they range all over the place. I've got Charvels, I've got Schecter guitars, I got a PRS guitar, I have Epiphone Les Pauls, which I love. It's like the cheapest, best guitar you can possibly buy. They just sound great and they stay in tune. So
good choice. And I guess Jay, what sort of mic do you use? I guess, do you contribute any other sort of gear as well?
I actually the last year, I've been running a standard Shure 58 wireless, because I like to roam for most of our run. Just last year I picked up a Shure 58 Beta wireless, and that when I was doing research on which one of the two I should get, there's not. With guitarists, you can see what gear they're using. You can look them up and know what gear they're using. Vocalists, not so easy. So I had to do a lot of digging, and what I found is that the Shure 58, the reason that it's used more for your standard metal is its range is very mid. It doesn't capture a lot of the highs, which is something that I do a lot of. Whether I don't sing really high, I sing more in the mid range, but I do have a very high scream that I do on occasion. We refer to it either as a pterodactyl squawk or a goblin noise. So using that, I decided to go for the Shure 58 Beta, just because it does have a wider range that it can pick up, and I actually think it sounds a lot better.
That's pretty cool. As soon as you said pterodactyl too, I immediately thought of a friend that always did some sort of pterodactyl noise on the phone too. Just always did to piss me off. So I don't think I want to know because I think I'll go deaf afterwards too. So
Yeah,
I think I'll come to
I'll do it for you. You have to wait for the EP because I had to do it a lot. Was actually when we were recording our EP, I had to. I had just gotten over influenza the week before, and it was hanging on for dear life. So I did not have much of a voice. So we had to change the way that I normally would do some of our songs, and I always have that high, always. So I had to use that a lot more than I normally do. But whatever, it's one of the things that I do that a lot of people in our area don't do. We don't. It's usually reserved for more of the black metal scene, and we don't have a lot of black metal bands, so it doesn't get heard a lot around here.
Well, yeah, it's pretty spread out when it comes to South Dakota. I mean, you only got like Sioux Falls, and then it's Pierre. Is there a big city?
Yeah, Pierre, and that's even 3 hours away from here, and then Rapid City is like 6. So those are the
3.
Yeah, those are the 3 that people generally know.
And there's like all farmlands, everything to the west. Yeah.
Yeah. We're close. As close as we are to Pierre. We're also that close to, say, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Omaha as well. So we're not. We are in the middle of nowhere, but there are bigger cities where Frank and I have spent loads of time in cities like Minneapolis, Omaha, Kansas City, seeing shows that don't come through our area. So.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna say for scream wise, I think you should look up how to do like a cleric beast from the video game Bloodborne. You should try to do something like that. Yeah. Oh man, that'd be so badass if I could actually hear something like that too. I actually remember the first time I actually heard it in the video game, I was like, what the fuck was that? Oh my gosh. That's always like thinking that you're almost thinking like it's right around the corner too. It's like, oh no, this is gonna suck so bad. Fortunately, you have to work your way up to this bridge, and then that's where you fight the damn thing. So all right, that's all cool. So I guess the next one right here, in terms of like making a song first, I guess, how do you guys normally go about creating a song? Do you start with the guitar licks, then bass, drums, vocals, or you try to do lyrics first and then put the music together?
It's almost always guitar first. I think it's just a metal trope where the riff is kind of the inception of everything, And we call them rifflings. Me and my buddy Brian, we call them rifflings when we just sitting on the couch jamming, and then you'll hear something that catches your ear, and you just sit there and you farm it till you get it where you want it, and then we start building on top of it, and that's kind of how the songs all come to fruition. Lyrics are really the last thing we do, to be honest with you. That's when we bring Jay in and all that. Is once we have guitars and drums down, then we'll bring Jorelle in and try to get that rolling.
And I guess so Jay, you mentioned earlier you guys kind of share responsibilities with the lyrics too. I guess so what inspires it?
Kind of with everything, honestly. Like I said, we do things kind of democratically. If they bring in a riff and somebody doesn't like one part of it, that'll go back to, like Frank said, the farming stage. And in fact, like even recently, we had riffs and songs we've been playing for 15 years that got changed when we did them on the EP because we just didn't like them. We never liked them. We didn't know what to do with them, but they got changed, and it wasn't anything that nobody really gets butthurt about it. Somebody might get a little like, "What do you mean you don't like this?" But overall, the songs have to be a representation of all of us.
Yeah, it's got to be a team, because it's not about. I think I learned this over the years, because we used to be a little bit more arrogant, play a little faster, be a little bit more aggressive. But over the years, you learn that it's about the songs. It's about writing good songs and making sure everybody's shining at what they're good at and sticking to that.
That's for sure. And I guess so. What normally do you write about in your lyrics wise? Do you try to mix it up, or do you try to do something with like love, heartbreak, and that sort of stuff?
Always comic books.
Stories, man. Always telling stories.
Comic books and movies. Those are the things that really kind of inspire us. So we're all nerds.
We've got songs about we wrote it watching one of our songs, Only for Glory. That'll be on our EP. That one's about, we wrote it as a group watching Troy. But as we wrote the lyrics, it became apparent that it was actually about the 300 Spartans. And so it kind of tells both of those stories in one song. Hellbound, that's blatantly about Ghost Rider. We have Falling Skies. That one is I wrote. That one's a double, has a double meaning. That one is my favorite song that we've written recently. It's the one that it's the one song that I recall in recent memory that I wrote pretty much start to finish myself. And there was little pieces that the guys are like, well, let's try this line or this word in there instead. But it tells a story of a guy who is waking up and the apocalypse has happened. He has no idea if there's anybody else, but really the song's about my battle with depression. So, because that's how you feel, you feel like you wake up in the morning and nobody possibly could understand. So you feel so alone. And it just tells that story. What else is on there? Fate. That's a song that we dedicate to our friend John that passed, but anybody that's passed for us. It's a song that was written originally about suicide, but it tells that whole story of going to the afterlife and not knowing what's going to happen and where you're going to go, and everything we've got tells a story.
It gets deep at times. Yeah, I can see why. I did have to ask about I Give My Life, because that was actually the third time I listened to you guys. And that little segment, I think it was like maybe halfway through the song, it was like, you're all I want. And it's like, you're everything. And like, I was immediately thinking of the Lifehouse song too, because I think it was exactly those lyrics too. Because you're all that I want, you're all that I need, you're everything. And I don't know if it was quite by accident, I guess. Was that where the inspiration came from for that song?
Which one are you talking about now?
I Give My Life. I guess here, let me see if I can check it out real quick.
Okay. I think we might have a cross here. There is another Pray for Villains band.
Oh, was that what it was?
Okay, I'm going to tell you this. You got another fun story out of me on this. We were contacted probably 2 years ago by this other Pray for Villains band, and we had just put out a bunch of videos on social media and stuff, just had a show, and they contacted us, and they basically thought we were defunct, even though we had just came back. It's like, we didn't know you guys were doing anything, and trying to get us to relinquish the name to them, which I denied. Then they thought it would be fun to do. Yeah, exactly. They wanted to do they're like, well, maybe we should do a show together. That'd be fun. Like, that is the craziest idea I've ever heard of, that you would do a show with two bands with the exact same name. Like, which Pray for Villains are you? It doesn't matter. It's all the same. It's not the same. But we let them do their thing. We're going to do our thing. And so anything that they have, I believe, is listed as when I denied them that we were going to back off and change our name again. They went and they bought up latched onto anything that could be just standard Pray for Villains. So almost all of our stuff is our website, prayforvillainsband.com. Our email is prayforvillainsband. The only thing that I know that we have that they don't is all of our digital currency, our PayPal, our Cash App, our Venmo. All of those are Pray for Villains. So I got those ones first, but as soon as I saw that they were snatching stuff up, I was like, no, those are mine. We did it first. We were here first. They're decent guys, though. We've talked to them. I've talked to them a couple of times since they started too. I think that they're older than even we are. But they're much more active on YouTube, and they do a lot of home recordings, I believe. But if you look at Pray for Villains, I think theirs is prayforvillains.com and ours is prayforvillainsband.com. I think you'll see the difference between the two as far as who they're catering to and who their target audience is.
All right, that explains a lot.
Yep.
What was I saying, man? Actually, it was exactly like how the lyrics went from the Lifehouse song that I was mentioning earlier. So that's why I was like, oh, this ought to be an interesting talk. And oh, it's another band with the same
Yeah, it is
name.
another. There's another Pray for Villains out there, and when we picked this name, we did a lot of research to make sure that we were the only one.
But yeah, he's right. So we did a lot of research on that stuff in order to get it in there.
My back now.
Something that we were really picky about.
Yeah, you're
Just
back now.
All that research.
You just filled in some of the chit chat right there.
Oh, okay.
All right, that's pretty cool. All right, for the next question right here, Frank, I think you can probably answer this one because I think it might be the obvious. But I guess what challenges do you face these days, being a musician?
Money. That's the biggest one, right? Like trying to make a living doing it is basically impossible for the most part. You'd have to have multiple bands, multiple streams of income, or be doing multiple music-related jobs, like running live sound or, being stage help, maybe playing multiple instruments in different bands. It's hard to make money. It's hard to make a living. We all have day jobs.
I guess what are your jobs technically if you guys want to share it?
You want to go first, Frank?
Yeah, I can go first. It doesn't matter. I'm an insurance adjuster. That's what I do. So I'm lame.
I actually am a computer programmer at a place here in South Dakota called Eros Data Center. It's a government facility that my job is basically they take data from all over the world. We've got 2 satellites in orbit right now. I think it's every 8 days, these satellites will have a different picture of every spot on the whole planet. And they use that data for all sorts of sciencey stuff that's even beyond my brain. But the group that I work on basically tries to combat famine in third world countries.
It's some good work in the world there too. All right. And I guess, Jay, what sort of challenges, I guess, do you face? Doesn't look like money because he was flashing it earlier right there.
That's band money. That's all ticket sales and stuff like that. I just thought it was funny because right there when he said money, I was like, that's ticket sale money. I was like, woo, I got some money. Not mine, but it's somebody's. It really is. I mean, inflation sucks. Actually, let me show it. I don't have one here. Dang it. I just placed an order for some merch recently. I said I do that a lot. I think 2 years ago, I got order of stickers that are almost 3 inches, and I spent $100 on like 500 stickers. I did the same order, and I got stickers that are just shy of 2 inches for the same amount of money. So we're not. Inflation sucks for everybody, but everybody's got to try and make money somehow. We have, it's really what it is. And as the level that we're at, we have no anticipation of making money at this. It's a thing that we do because we love it. I've said before in an interview we did before, we've been in this scene for, like I said, almost 20 years. So I think our job now is to pass on knowledge that we have to the younger bands. We played with one band last night that I think they can really go someplace. They're young. They have good jobs that will allow them to financially back what they want to do. And they're actually releasing an EP at the same Four Winds Music Festival that we are. They're called Lilac Jam. They're a local bunch of guys. We played with their dad. So we've been around a long time.
It's a small world after all. So
yeah, it's funny. And actually their dad's band, Asking Abby, will be at that same music festival for the first time in 17 years. And we're like, we haven't played since it's 17 years. Like, oh my God, has it been that long since we played with you guys? God, we're all old. And that's those guys' dad. But that's what I think our biggest, it's not so much financial anymore. It's about passing on knowledge so maybe somebody else can do something that we didn't have the ability to do.
Yeah, and the oversaturation is a big part of the modern scene. Is there's just with the advancement in technology and all the home recording that can be done, people can just release stuff like crazy in social media. It's just there's so many bands, there's so much music. It's hard to stand out or even get noticed if it is a little different. That's a real struggle that I think every band is going to have in the future, and all the bands currently going to have.
That's one thing that I like about being in the band with Frank and Ryan, and just we all bring something different to this table, and it definitely shows in the way that our songs come out. Like I talked about a bunch last night, versatility, difference in songs. There are some, we got solos, we've got the leads, we've got the various grooves and melodies, and I do the low screams and the high screams and the mids and the yelling and the singing, some of them in one song, just because that's what the song felt like it needed. And I think that's kind of what we bring, is just something different, but it's all different all the time. You'll still know it's us, but it won't sound like another song that we have.
No,
they one trick pony. No,
they don't sound alike.
As I was gonna say, it can't be a one trick pony. So,
oh yeah, it's boring. It's got to have some
color
light to it,
Yeah, that's for sure too. So that's all pretty cool. And I guess this dad that you were talking about earlier, asking Abby, to get the idea from asking Alexandria or something.
I'm not sure which of them came first, honestly. I believe Asking Alexandria came first, and that's kind of the style of music that, if I remember correctly, that's the kind of the style of music that they did, with that more punky style. But 17 years since they played together, I don't know. There was kind of a naming trend back then. Is there was always, somebody's got to ask somebody something.
I mean, Asking Alexa might be the next band we bring up before you know it. So
yes, what I'm saying. It was kind of a naming trend at that time. There was a whole bunch of people that had questions, and they all wanted to ask a lady.
Because the lady would at least give you a nice soothe answer, to be honest, too. Something you could at least enjoy. So, yeah, I can see why. So I guess for the next one here, let's dive into social media a little bit, too. So I guess, Jay, first off, what social media are you guys on?
We're on Threads. We're on Instagram. We are on Facebook. We are on YouTube. I have discussed with several people about making the jump to TikTok, but based on current government nonsense, that might not be a good idea, just because China might steal my information, or it might not be there in a week because they might ban TikTok anyway. I don't know what's going to happen. So yeah, if it's social media, we're on there. We're on Spotify. We're on everything. All of our links are actually on our website in our link section, pridefordvillainsband.com/links.
Yep, I put emphasis on it too, so I can see why. And I guess actually, are you guys part of the Facebook group Band Together?
Yes, actually we are.
I guess when did you join it? I guess is there something? Sorry.
We're one of the OGs in that group. I think we're within probably the first maybe 100 or 200 bands that were in that group. And when that group started, it was funny. Our Facebook followers, everybody, all the bands like all over the world were doing both invite swaps and shares and everything like that, follow for follow and everything like that. And so that's, I think, where that Band Together group started, was from that. And so it's just a bunch of bands from all over the world. We became friends with bands from the UK and Australia, and yeah, it was kind of a cool movement last year or 2 years ago. Man, I don't remember which year that was.
Something like that. They made a talk over either, mate. So sorry about that. But I guess
no, you're good.
I guess Frank, it was kind of leading to this question right here. I guess, what advice would you give to musicians in Band Together, and I guess bands you kind of also interacted with, became friends, and then other ones who are up and coming?
The biggest thing I would say is stick together, guys. You're all in the same struggle. It's not a competition about who's better, who's worse. And it's certainly not a technicality thing. Like and I see it from both ends because I'm in a rock band too. So, I mean, I see it from like both ends where the rock guys judge the metal guys because it's all screaming. Right. And then the metal guys judge the rock guys because rock guys play really simple 4-chord songs all the time. It's a thing where they just need to work together. Hip hop, rock, metal. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you love music, you love music, and you should just, like work together because that's how a scene is built. It's built with multiple artists. It's not built with one.
Instead of slow motion, that's for sure. So, okay. Actually, no, though. It's that movie thing. 2 thumbs way up. So there we go.
Like Frank was talking about there as far as genres and stuff. Like we've crossed genres multiple times. We've participated in 2 hip hop songs. That's not something metal bands do, but we don't care about that. It's supporting other musicians. And like I said, last night we played with another metal band, a bunch of hip hop guys, a rock band, a pop punk band, and it was fun. It should be about music and camaraderie more so about than who can pee further.
Yeah, and Four Winds is a great example of that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Four Winds is another big example. That big music festival we're doing in July, where I think there's 4 or 5 EP or album releases at that 2 days, over 60 bands, and they're all local and regional, with the exception of, I think, The Faint and He Is Legend play on Saturday, and Prof plays on Friday, but everybody else is at least regional.
That's pretty sweet.
For Sioux Falls to be able to put on a mostly local regional show that I think last year we did over 2,000 people at this festival. There's musicians and artists and just people from all over just hanging out.
Sorry, got myself muted there. Is this the festival you guys normally do every year, or is this like something just recently?
I think this is our 3rd year, Frank. Is that right? 3rd year, you think?
Yeah, it's our 3rd year. Yeah. This will be our 3rd.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah,
is it kind of like how Ozfest is at times?
Well, a little bit. Last year we tried. I'm a big fan of stage show. So last year we brought, 2 4-foot beach balls and kicked them out into the crowd. I pierced my nipple on stage, and at one point there's a video, a short 30-second reel of myself running off the stage just to jump in a mosh pit and just have fun. This year I've got some more big plans, more beach balls, more. I wanted to do a water balloon fight, but decided against that. Maybe we'll save that for another thing we talked about kind of recently, maybe a music video or something. Get a bunch of people together and just have a water balloon fight. I think that'd just be a blast. Yeah. Yeah, we just like to be the party band, the other thing we did was we had, those little slap sticky hands, stretch out and they got a little hand on them. I think we tossed out 200 of those last year. This year I've got 1,000 of them. So I want people to jump out in that mosh pit. I want them to look like they got their ass kicked by a bunch of toddlers.
The cleanup had been lovely.
Yeah. I think most people kept them. I didn't see a lot of them floating around. Or they.
That sounds freaky too. I'm like thinking like people are gonna use that to probably bitch slash some people too. Be like,
yeah. From behind. That's what people were doing.
Yeah.
It's like, no, slap happy.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and that's I think that's what music should be is fun.
Within legal bounds, you should say that. Within legal bounds.
So. Well, yeah, I suppose. I mean, everybody has their idea of fun. We're not Motley Crue by any means. I don't need to trash rooms.
Allen.
Oh, yeah, that too.
They calm down there, Nikki Six. We don't need you doing anything stupid right there. So, yeah, that sounds pretty cool there too. So, can't wait to see what you all got. But I guess what's the plans for this year? I guess you mentioned about this festival too. Is this something you guys are going to participate in?
Yep, that's where we're doing our album, our EP release. We're talking about maybe a pre-listening party before that, when we get our EP mastered and stuff like that. That's something I'm working on right now behind the scenes. And then probably train up a new drummer, maybe find a bassist if we can find one who's not a total flake, because that's a conversation I had a couple times last night too. The bass players, they apparently are flaky. I don't know why that is, why they're the ones that are flaky, but I always kind of figured it'd be vocalists, the guys that want to be up in front of everybody, and that's all that they care about,
Something like that. But I guess, so what is the current lineup? Is it just you, Frank, and Ryan? Is that the ones you mentioned?
Right now, after our buddy LJ, his last show was last night. He's been with us since the beginning. He got a great job offer. We wouldn't have let him pass that up. That's too good for him. But yeah.
Good man. All right. I guess best of luck on his journey going forward there too. Yeah. So, all right. So Jay and Frank, we briefed for questions here pretty good. And I guess here, let's jump into the fun ones now. You ready?
Go for it.
All right. So Frank, what would you say is your favorite food?
Oh, chili. For sure.
Just straight chili? I guess nothing really special. Do you like it spicy?
I like it medium. But you can put chili on hot dogs. We make chili cheese burritos at my house. I mean, there's a lot of things you can use chili for. Just fill it with like tater tots or French fries. I mean, chili's just good, and hey, you put it on a steak. It's all good.
I was say, man, you are rail thin for what you eat. So I'd say that much. So
I work out a lot. That's seeping.
I guess also jumping on stage with the guitar is also another good thing too. So I could say why. All right. And I guess Jay.
I am the guy that people invite to parties to eat all of their food so they don't have to put it away.
He's a recycler like me. I've honestly been guilty of that too. So go ahead.
I'm the guy that when we go out with our group of friends, we have one of our merch girls. We call her Tiny Tina, and she will ask me what I want to eat besides what I'm already eating, so she can just order that because she's not going to finish her food. But if I had to choose, it'd probably be tacos and pizza, which consequently are my boys' two favorite foods. One of them will pick one, the other will pick the other.
It's like, no, you can only pick one. That would be
yeah. I'm not a short order cook. What do you want? Tacos and pizza? Okay, fine. We can have tacos and pizza. Taco pizza? No, not that. They have to be different. Ugh.
Actually, do they do a sort of taco pizza? I know they've been mixing it up recently.
Yeah.
I guess, do they or no?
Yeah. There are several places that do taco pizzas over here. I know Pizza Hut has one even.
That's freaky. But all right, good choice. And you know what? Every single interview has had like some sort of pizza and some sort of way there too. I mean, it's just one of those things you cannot pass up. So TGII. It's like, thank God. Or actually, no, TGFI. Thank God for the Italians. So
yep.
There we go. Trying to make sure I pronounce it right. Okay. And Frank, for our next question here, I guess, what would you consider as your favorite movie?
Oh, me and Jay probably share this one. It's The Princess Bride. Like 100%. That's the one. I was a little kid when I first saw that, and I still to this day I watch it, at least once a month. At least. And I know every line, I know the whole thing, note for note. It's a great movie. It's by far my favorite.
I would say it was the Michael Keaton Batman, like a close second.
Oh, it's definitely in the top 10 for sure. For sure it is. Yeah. But it's
close enough.
Not number one.
I guess White Princess Bride. I'm trying to remember that one too. Was that the one where that nerdy girl ends up finding out that she's actually related to royalty? Oh, it might have been Princess Diaries. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, you're a little off there. So this is a little older than that. Princess Bride has got Carrie Elways and Andre the Giant. It's a really old movie, and it's a classic fairy tale thing, but it's Rob Reiner, so it's hilarious. Just the banter and like how they talk to each other. It's PG, so your kids can watch it too. But it's clever, it's witty and cheeky, and I don't know, man. It's just so entertaining to me still.
You said Andre the Giant. Was that the one with the she got kidnapped by these three guys, and the one guy's like always yelling like "inconceivable"? Is that it?
That's the movie. There's the movie.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I got mixed up. That's Princess Diaries I was thinking of earlier. So.
Yeah, Anne Hathaway.
Yeah. Was going to. So okay. And Jay?
Frank's right. That Princess Bride's definitely in my top 10. It's got everything you need, but I'm really a super nerd. So you're not to the Star Wars, and I think they all have their merits. Even the new trilogy. A lot of people hate on them. They're science fiction. They're not science fact. I don't care. Just suspend your disbelief and enjoy a movie. I have the same opinion about the Marvel movies. Everybody's like, "Oh my God, that's not realistic." You're talking about a guy who gets mad and turns into a giant green rage monster. It's not real. I just the Star Wars movies. They're movies that I've watched probably more than anything else. Empire is my favorite of the original trilogy.
There's the first one, because I think everyone I talked to is either said Return of the Jedi or New Hope, and they always had like Empire is like 2 or 3. So
yeah, I don't know why. Ever since I was a kid, Empire was the one that I liked the most. I think it was, you meet Yoda, you see Luke starting his journey to being the guy, that the chosen one, as he was the
prophecy, if that's what I want to call it.
Yeah, the prophecy. The real reason that Anakin went to the dark side was to make these guys to balance out the. Who knows? I don't care. It's fun.
Just shut up and watch the movie, people. Just make our lives easy.
It's suspend your disbelief. Enjoy the film.
That's what I say too. All right, good choices. So I guess Frank, for the next one right here. First off, do you both drink?
On occasion, I drink only socially, maybe once or twice a week, maybe at all. But I'm never like wasted. I just have too many responsibilities, and I need to be up in the morning if something happens.
You got a legitimate excuse, so I can see why. But I guess, so what would you say is your favorite alcoholic drink and non-alcoholic drink?
My favorite alcoholic drink is the Yeg Bomb shot. That's probably my favorite thing. I definitely, when I go out, that's probably the first thing that I'll go for. Non-alcoholic, Jesus. Yeah, this is a tough question, because I'm a water guy. Always have been. I'll take water. I'm practical. I'm weird like that. I just like water.
It helps with the soil work too, so you can see why. Okay. And Jay?
When I go out, I'll order, if I'm having an alcoholic drink, I will order it, and that's exactly how I order it too. Bring me a beer that I can't see through. I want my beer black, but I'll quote Nathan Explosion from Metalocalypse, blacker than the blackest black times infinity. I don't want to see any light penetrate that beer. Bring me a stout, bring me a porter. That's what I like. That's dangerous though, because occasionally you pick is that a stout? That looks like a cool looking can. And they bring you an imperial stout that is 13%, and you didn't know it was 13% until you had 2 of them. And then you're feeling pretty good. You better not drink anymore. I'm already gone. Let's keep going. Otherwise, I'm with Frank. It's water for me. I drink a lot of water, ton of water.
Consider the amount of beer you're drinking, I think you're going to have to at that point, to be honest. It's almost like the Godsmack whiskey hangover, to be honest. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, as soon as you were saying, like, after 2, it's almost like by 3, I'm probably hitting the floor, and by 4 or 5, I'm ready to fight all night. Kind of like a Godsmack's whiskey hangover.
I'm kind of a big guy anymore. In my older age, 6 foot 250, so it's mostly in my middle anymore. It didn't used to be. I hit 40, and that's where it showed up. Whatever, it's good. That's good.
And so you're pretty much at that point where you look like an NFL lineman before you know it. So
yeah.
Yeah, good choices.
Hey, Frank, while we're talking about this real quick, I just got a message. I heard you guys are looking for a bassist. So we
Really, huh?
yeah.
Nice.
Nathan Ellison from
God Cult?
God Cult, yeah.
Yeah. I'll take the team. Those guys are
That's
good.
fine. I don't mind. We'll just all share musicians. We'll just have to do shows all together all the time. That's fine.
I mean, I'm in 3 bands, so I mean, I can't judge anybody for that. You know what I mean?
Right before I know, we immediately got a new bass player, just like that. I mean, you didn't do much.
I think I saw he does graveless vocals too. So he does vocals too.
Fire, that sort of thing. So, all right, that's pretty cool. And Frank, for the last question right here, I guess, what would you consider is currently your favorite song, or a song you've been listening to a good bit recently?
What was I just listening to? I found this band called Tombstoner. Tombstoner is pretty badass, and they have a song called "Fucking Nasty," and it is fucking nasty. It's just like old school fucking thrash meets death metal, heavy as fuck. I like that kind of shit. I love the melodic stuff too. I'm wearing a Periphery shirt here, right? And they just came out with acoustic tracks that I was also jamming for like 2 days because Spencer Stello's fucking voice is incredible as well. So I'm weird. I like the the sing like an angel, scream like a demon. I like it. I like both.
It's like live like an angel, die like a devil from Venom, for instance. It's a good way. Actually, is that meant to be a typo on your shirt? Because it says Hail Stan on it too, so I'm not sure if that's meant to be a typo.
No, that's actually this is their 4th album. That's what it's called, Hail Stan instead of Satan. Oh yeah.
I mean, he dug the Scandinavian style of music too, so I thought he was going into the dark side there. So, not too sure. All right. And Jay, what would you say is your favorite song or one you've been listening to a good bit recently?
I've actually been listening to a lot of Fit for a King recently, and that's I think more for I like to sing with them, and that kind of started shortly when we were going into the studio in March, and I just haven't really stopped. I haven't found something else that's taken their place. Aside from Soilwork, I am literally in they're my number 1 band every year on Spotify. Ever since I started Spotify, I'm in their top like 0.1% of listeners every year. I think last year Spotify said I listened to him for over 2,000 minutes or something stupid like that. So,
I mean, he's got this shirt too, so I mean, he's committed. So that's one thing.
I got this shirt. My wife got me this. It's Dickies work shirt, so it's heavy duty. But when I got to wear something fancy, it's button up. See, it's all fancy and stuff. I'm not gonna strip on camera, but it. But yeah,
that's a normal shirtless.
I mean, I saw one of your pictures. He was shirtless too. He had the chain around his neck, so that's why I brought it up earlier.
Yeah, he's the Bert Kreischer of metal.
It's true. I am the Bert Kreischer of metal. We got the same body type and everything. He's just hairier than I am.
Just like rip the shirt, be like, manly. That's what we say.
Yeah.
So, right.
Yeah. Soilwork is always in my number 1 slot. But lately, I've been listening to a lot of Fit for a King. Specifically, Breaking the Mirror, I think, is the one that gets played a lot.
I haven't listened to too much. I listened to him a couple times, and I think one was on the radio because they came out with some new material recently, right?
Yeah. They actually just released a single within the last few weeks, too.
That's pretty cool. All right. We'll see what happens going forward then. So best luck on their journeys. All right. So Jay and Frank, we're nearing the end of my podcast right here. And despite a couple hiccups, I think we're close to like an hour 20, hour 30 minutes right now. So I guess, did you guys have any questions for me or any final words you want to say before we jump into the final one?
Well, I think I can reiterate what I already said. That we're all the villain in someone's story, and it doesn't matter who you are. If somebody's gonna have something bad to say about you, don't sweat it. Well, that's something that gets us all together.
I'm not sure if Frank wanted to say any final words.
Yeah, man. I just want to say thank you for having us on, man. That's cool to give a little metal band out of South Dakota a little time in your day. Like, it's just awesome to get opportunities like this, and we appreciate it, man. We appreciate the fuck out of it. Thank you, sir.
It's like, hey, watch your language, buddy. It's a family-friendly podcast, for fuck's sakes. So.
Well, I heard you say fuck earlier. It's over now.
All right. I mean, we already crossed that board there too, but it was meant to be comedy. We're meant to have comedy gold. There's not a whole lot of comedy anymore these days, so you can see why. And actually, I did interview a friend of mine, Letters from Saints. He's also out of South Dakota as well. I'm not sure. I think more of a smaller town. I don't think he's anywhere close to Sioux Falls or anywhere else. So go check him out. I think he's a nice guy. So, all right. So there's nothing else?
Nope.
All right. So you guys might have harped on this too, but here's how the final question goes. Given what COVID has done, I know you guys lost maybe some friends and family along the way here too, but for those musicians who are perhaps struggling, whether it's COVID related or something else entirely, what sort of message of hope would you give to musicians and people out there as we try to move forward in the post-COVID world? So, Frankie, you can go first.
The best example I can give, and I think I give this advice to all just inspiring and young musicians and everybody alike, is just do what you love. If you do what you love and you just stick to it, make it work. I know it's hard. You got to work a job, you got to find a way to pay for your gear and go to shows. You just do what you love, man. And, you'll be happier for it. It's just reality. You just got to embrace what you're doing and not think about necessarily all the noise that kind of comes in and out of your life, but just keep steady on the path.
Yeah, Jay.
I think Frank hit that right on the head there. There are tons of bands, even big bands that a big band that I use as an example of this is a lot. Amon Amarth until like the last 3 years, they're a Swedish melodic death metal, Viking metal band. They would go on tour and they would do like worldwide tours and come home and work a regular job because they didn't make any money. They had to pay their own way. Still, they'd come home and work a regular 9 to 5 after their tour was over. Then you got other bands like, say, your Mastodon, who made their money, and then they also invested their money in various things. That's how they made it through COVID. They have, I think, a restaurant or something that they do. I don't remember, but you, like Frank said, you just gotta. What do you got, Frank? You know what I'm talking about, or no?
Well, yeah. I mean, what you're telling somebody is kind of like, it's an old man's wise tale, right? It's like, when you make money and get it, don't just spend it. Invest it so it can make money on your money.
You gotta. A band that did that in recent memory that actually capitalized on their viralness was I Prevail. They did that Taylor Swift blank space cover. They took overnight iTunes. They sold a bunch, and they took all the money they made from that and they funneled it back into what they were doing. And within that next year, they were headlining major festivals because all off of one song. So don't give up. Just keep moving. All it takes is that one viral moment, and if you capitalize on it properly, you can do something.
It's either that or start covering a whole lot of Taylor Swift songs and see where that goes.
Yeah, you could go that route. There are bands that still do that. I think there's one band that pops up on my wife's release radar every week with a new cover, and I couldn't tell you what their name is because I'm over it. But every week
I've been over it since the end of the Super Bowl, to be honest, too. I'd be like, people, can you just give the Taylor Swift thing a fucking break already?
Yeah,
like, seriously.
Stop. Leave her alone. Let her live her life.
They always say it's a Swiftie fan. So, like, I listen to a couple of her songs, all right? I'm not a Swiftie. I respect the fact that she loves Travis Kelce, all right?
That's fine.
Yeah.
What's wrong?
What anybody else do?
I mean, if you want to tango, I mean, you want to do it this way, too? I mean, you want her to get engaged, and that's a relationship?
Well, then there'd be a whole different bunch of people pissed off.
Yeah. And they're smart, too, so don't like think it's just like metal guys, but like Taylor Swift, she has like death metal T-shirts with her face on it, and then her name's all in like death metal lettering. You know, it's because Billie Eilish is another pop star who loves metal, and it's turning into a thing where it's really common for there to be like a eclectic listeners. You know what I mean?
I guess so. So it's an interesting world we live into. So okay. And I forgot to mention earlier, spoke like a bunch of true prodigies. So there we go. Okay. So Jay and Frank, we've reached the end of my podcast right here, and we did a nice little chat, right? And all it was great chat with you guys. But I guess before we close, you guys got any more final words? Any shout outs you want to give?
No, we're good, man.
All right. And I guess so what social media you're on, and I guess what's the plans for this year? Like I mentioned earlier, but just for the audience's sake, so go ahead.
So just a EP release, Four Winds Music Festival, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Four Winds Art and Music Festival, sorry. Yeah, our social media, you can find all those on our website, prayforvillainsband.com/links. That, you know, right at the top of the page, there's a links header. You've got all our social media, our Facebook, our Instagram. Wait a minute. Okay, there's a fun joke on there. So our Instagram is actually under OnlyFans tag, because when we started our Instagram page, every fan that I saw, big metal fan, small fan, didn't matter. I was taking a picture, and it was literally just me and fans, OnlyFans. That is our OnlyFans page, is our Instagram. So as a joke, the link for our OnlyFans is actually our Instagram. So don't be scared to click that. There's not a bunch of old guys, you know. It's our Instagram page, YouTube, yeah, all your big ones, minus TikTok. We'll see if we do one of those, if they ban it or not.
I mean, hey, it's clever too, but immediately when you were saying that too, I think like, don't tell me he's doing these poses or that sort of thing too. So
it's funny. I thought it was hilarious. I could not stop laughing every time I tell that story. We got OnlyFans. You do? Yeah, it's on our Instagram. I just take pictures with fans. What do you want to do?
I mean, genius. I'll tell you that much. It's genius too. So right. Actually, I've been calling you by your nickname the whole time. How do you pronounce your name? Is it Jorelle? Is that how you pronounce it?
Jorelle, yep.
Okay, Jorelle.
I'm named after, you're going to kick out of this, I'm named after Superman's dad.
You know what? That's what I was thinking too. I was thinking, like, oh man, you must get that joke a hell of a lot, to be honest.
My mom either likes Superman or Marlon Brando. You take your pick. I'm not sure.
I'd go with more of the Marlon Brando, to be honest. So, because anyway, especially since he was in Apocalypse Now, so That's something. All right, but all right. So to close it all out right here, before we jump into our crazy stories here. So, everyone, my guest today was Frank and Jorelle, hailing from South Dakota, right here, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And part of the band Pray for Villains. Make sure to do the right one, because I think on Spotify it mixed us up a little bit there too. So make sure you pick the right one. So, okay. And hold that thought. Okay, there we go. All right. So Jay, Frank, I want to thank you guys so much again for coming on. You all stay safe. Have a good year. Rock on. Stay tuned, y'all.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, dude.